Welcome to Speaking of Higher Ed, Conversations on Teaching and Learning. This podcast is produced by the Center for Instructional Innovation at Augusta University. I'm your host, Andrew Everett. The purpose of this podcast is to create a resource that will help you create engaging and meaningful learning experiences. This is episode 18 and our Summer Shorts episode for June, where we will quickly recap some key moments from the past year. We will cover hip-hop pedagogy, documenting good teaching, and grading. Please share this episode and subscribe. New episodes will be back the third Wednesday of each month during spring and fall semesters. In episode 9, we spoke with Dr. Lauren Barbeau. Dr. Barbeau is the Assistant Director for Learning and Technology Initiatives at Georgia Tech. She joined us to discuss the Critical Teaching Behaviors Framework, which she developed with Dr. Claudio Happel to provide a comprehensive system for instructors and administrators to identify and document good teaching.
We've worked with some faculty as well as some CETL folks out in California and out in Arizona who have been working on tenure and promotion guidelines, for instance, or peer observation guidelines. And the feedback that we're getting from those folks is that this instrument, this book, really does provide a common language in which to talk about what we mean by good teaching. Because good teaching can mean so many different things across disciplines, and it can mean so many different behaviors. And while nobody can capture everything, we've tried as much as possible to be fairly comprehensive and to be interdisciplinary, as well as conscious of different modalities. So we're not just geared towards face-to-face teaching. We're also thinking about the blended synchronous environments and the online environments. And what we've heard from others who are using this is, yeah, we've provided the common language that's necessary to have conversations around how we evaluate teaching.
Dr. Barbeau says the Critical Teaching Behaviors Framework can give us a more consistent language when discussing what we mean by good teaching, while providing flexibility too. Find a link to the book and hear the full episode by clicking on Season 1, Episode 9 on our show page at augusta.edu/innovation. In episode number 11, Dr. Dan Kaminstein combines his Montessori and traditional educational experiences to inform his teaching methods as Assistant Dean for Ultrasound Education and Professor of Emergency Medicine at the Medical College of Georgia. He advocates for an active learning approach and a growth mindset, encouraging students to view failure as an opportunity for growth. Dr. Kaminstein challenges the efficacy of traditional grading systems, questioning whether they truly reflect student progress and support continuous learning, and explores alternative assessment strategies to enhance student engagement and learning outcomes.
Everything you do is feedback for learning. So everything we do as educators is feedback for learning. How do you systematize that? How do you actually create a system where that helps the student and the educator can be on the same page is again, an open debate. I would say there's a lot of theory around this in terms of programs of assessment that talk about actually creating multiple ways for students to get feedback. That is oftentimes summative feedback, but a lot of formative feedback as well, where they're getting feedback from the different things they're doing. And you're actually creating more of a dashboard around helping them see all that different feedback and using that feedback to say, hey, this is how far you are in the process of becoming more and more independent and becoming more self-directed in that learning. So that's usually programs of assessment, I'd say, is the thing that I found the most exciting and dynamic about how we actually move from a letter-based system to a system that really is going to support our students to continue to learn throughout that process. I have the advantage of getting to work with students from the day one of medical school. And I teach students throughout all 4 years of medical school. I teach them in residency. I teach them in fellowship. So I get to see these learners progress through day one of medical school. So they're coming out of undergraduate. So for all those who are teaching undergraduate classes and worry about how obsessed their pre-meds are with grades, and it doesn't get any better. Once they get to medical school, they still become very obsessed with grades and points and scores. And so it's not like they get to medical school and all of a sudden they're growth-minded learners. And I see that process continue throughout to even for us as faculty members, we still get stuck in this step. And so the reason I get so passionate about this is because I think as educators, our goal is to actually help the students continue to progress in their learning experience. So grades don't really tell you much unless you're very intentional. They don't really have growth-minded goals to them, really. They just tell you how much have you mastered my topic. And so if your goal is, I want you to master the material that I think is important, then okay, you can use grades. But if you want to say, I want to help you become a more impassioned student about anything you teach, then grades don't actually really tell the student that much.
Hear more from Dr. Kaminstein by clicking on Season 1, Episode 11 on our show page. What adjustments to assessments are you making to drive engagement? Join the conversation and visit us at facebook.com/AUGCII to share what you're doing. In episode 16, we were joined by Dr. Kelly Allen. Dr. Allen is an assistant professor of curriculum studies in the College of Education and Human Development here at Augusta University. She uses hip-hop-based education to engage students and connect course content to their cultural experiences. Drawing from her high school teaching days, Dr. Allen incorporates the 5 aspects of hip-hop culture into her curriculum, demonstrating its power beyond just a motivational tool.
Because a lot of times when people say like, oh, there's no place for this in academia, it's because they're only thinking of a very, very small, singular element, and even beyond just the element of the music, right? They're thinking of a very, very small fraction of the music, right? And so I say, let's open up our minds to what hip hop is and how it could be used. But then secondly, right, like I said, the field of, hip hop education research is growing at a really rapid rate. We now have empirical studies that show that, when students can engage in hip hop culture, they're more likely to come to school on a regular basis, right? They're more likely to want to stay in school. They're more likely to have higher test scores on standardized tests and on in-class assessments than peers who don't have that exposure, right? And so when we look at those types of benefits, right? It becomes pretty undeniable that there's something here that really should be explored if we're willing to disrupt what we think hip-hop culture is.
Dr. Allen also highlights how hip-hop pedagogy can empower students, making learning relevant and transform traditional academic perceptions. She provides practical advice for how you can integrate hip-hop pedagogy into your teaching practices. Hear the full episode by clicking on Season 2, Episode 16 on our show page. All resources we discussed today, along with full episodes, are available on our show page at augusta.edu/innovation. Thank you for listening. Please take a moment to rate, review, subscribe, and share, speaking of higher ed. This podcast is produced by the Center for Instructional Innovation at Augusta University.